Happy Halloween, everyone. So of course, yeah, or keeping up with a tradition of with our annual Halloween in special in videos. You know, they've kind of varied.
Varied in topics and quality and everything. Right?
So I today I want to talk about a series that I wish I could have talked about a lot sooner.
That, of course, being the Castlevania series.
I have quite the history with the series. Okay, mainly from watching a bunch of videos about on it. I didn't actually start playing the series until like 2018.
Through the Switch.
Well, actually, it was Wii U Virtual Console.
Wii U Virtual Console.
Then I proceeded to get that from get the anniversary collection on Switch. Alright, time to share this bad boy. And so thing is, I'll get you in a bit of a behind the scenes. So if you remember Listmas, I actually want to do a Castlevania tier list then. However, we had other plans, and I was just so busy that month. Yeah, so I have been meaning to talk about this series for
ages now. We just needed to figure out how to tackle it. And we finally figured something out.
So I guess I spent throughout August, August 13th into I think somewhere around late September.
A little over a month, the two of us collectively played through all of the 2D Castlevania games.
That's over 20 games.
Yeah, I know you had more than I did.
I had like 16.
You had like twice as many as I did. But my games ended up having more content.
And so the thing is, I'm not very good at I am terrible at Metroidvanias.
He has no sense of direction in video games.
And so I'm not very good at Metroidvanias. So I guess we've actually decided I'd actually change things up a bit
with the format on this one. In this case, we're going in chronological order. Mostly, there are a few asterisks there. Mainly that we're covering remakes / reimaginings directly after their original versions. It is for as a matter of comparison between them. And two of the games switched places in this order for convenience and video structure reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So actually, there were two games, however, that didn't have anything written down for them.
Starting with
the first game,
the original game, Castlevania 1. Do you want to give your thoughts and then tell what tier you put it in?
Yeah, I guess we could do that.
So,
I tried to put my thoughts on this game into words, but
it's hard to describe considering it's the first one, so it's not like there's anything preceding it to compare it to.
so I just said we can do this. I can discuss it here.
Yeah, just figure out what to say about it. So, what are your thoughts on Castlevania 1 for the NES?
I think this game holds up surprisingly well. For an NES game. It is incredible. It's incredibly short. But I think I can beat it in less than an hour, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Or from like the presentation and from like the presentation and the music the sub weapons.
And classic all series staples, I'm pretty sure. Or even if the dagger modern games was more phased out because it's kind of redundant.
And this guy I was just I think this game just has an easy pick up and play a feel to it.
Don't get me wrong, it definitely has some of that old school old jank.
Yes, the 8-bit games definitely have that.
It's obviously not perfect.
You know, lack of mid-air jump control.
Some
on the knockback.
A few odd level design choices here and there.
The hallway before or death.
What was that one?
The one with the knights and the Medusas.
Yeah, that one's infamous.
No, man. Here's all you need. All you need is a triple holy water. Or just spam it.
Okay, Mr. Game Guide.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Holy water is fucking broken.
And easily the best sub weapon in the game.
In most cases. Yeah. In most cases. This game just has. I can easily just pull out this game. Even if I got nothing else to do. or someone is using my computer, or for whatever reason. I think it is just, it is, like I said, it's kind of hard to put this game, it's kind of hard to put my thoughts on this game into words. Other than, I think it holds up. I think it holds up rather well. Oh, maybe a bit of first game syndrome. Maybe a little bit of it. Maybe suffers from first game syndrome. But it certainly holds up better than most first entries is in some series. So with that being said, I'd put the original game in. The original game would aim as a B tier,
which is good.
It
was an enjoyable experience.
It's like I can easily replay it. So now for the stuff I've written down. on being about Castlevania Chronicles.
Mhm.
All's the all's are the all's as are the for the game originally released for the Sharp X68000, and 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 I played at first. I played this game on original mode. I didn't like it. But since I still had time, I decided, okay, maybe was I a bit too harsh on that? Maybe I was too harsh on this game. Maybe so I decided to give it another playthrough in a arranged mode.
And
The removal of knockback and reduce damage and easy on easy and arranged. Arranged mode definitely. It made certain parts less frustrating. Looking at you, stage 2. Better jump controls were also nice to have. Half of the levels were all right. That's.
half of them were all right.
Others can just.
The level of quality ranged for, it ranged from all right to I hate this.
God, that fucking tower, the fucking in tower with the glass, the stained glass. Also.
Yeah, all right at best, miserable at worst.
Also, now the stuff I didn't, and other stuff I didn't like about this game, and wasn't any better in a range. Stuff I didn't like, I still didn't like about this game, and wasn't any better in a range, such as stages 4, 6, and 7 being super annoying. In the last two rooms with the Maids and Panthers in stage 8 were also a pain in the ass to deal with. So in conclusion, through playing arranged mode, I was able to appreciate some aspects of the game that I originally didn't. Also, this is the fucking Chronicle Simon design.
So is that all you had to say about it?
Yeah. So the original Sharp X68000 version, which was being arranged mode, I own terrible.
Would that go in?
That is E tier.
E tier.
You're bad.
Was there another version in there?
Yeah, I played arranged mode. That moves 2 tiers above in C tier. Let me tell you the real punch.
C tier is mixed feelings or no strong feelings about.
It's really. I just labeled that average.
Average. It averages out.
Yeah. Now here's the real joke. I'd still rather play the NES original over either. That's the real joke here. Now on to anyone ever heard of Vampire Killer for the MSX?
You haven't? Well, you're lucky.
Vampire Killer is one of the worst games I've ever played. From infinitely respawning enemies on nearly every screen, failed attempt at making the game non-linear. They somehow managed to make using your sub-weapons tedious and unreliable. By that I mean, you activate them by holding up in a different, diagonally, right?
Yeah.
That's how you use your fucking sub-weapon. And bosses range from piss easy to absurdly hard. The shop system is unintuitive and makes no sense. You find in these priests and they fucking, you gotta, if you grab a Bible in the state, you might be able to buy something for less, spend less hearts on it. That's the thing you need. Some of these are like whip upgrades, like a whip upgrade, which I think resets every level. or for some reason. And you can get soft locked on the final level if you don't do things in a specific order, which is especially horrible in a game with no continues
and no ability to gain extra lives.
Overall, I got no enjoyment out of playing. It was just suffering all the way through. This is the worst game on the list. It is bottoming out at F tier. Horrible. Yeah, spoilers. None of the other games reached the. It came close to this.
At least with every other game, there was some sort of redeeming quality to it, regardless of how small. The Vampire Killer actively hurt to experience.
Yeah, it hurt to watch too.
Yeah, I was getting miserable just watching
it. Funny thing is, I only spent 4 hours playing. It only took me like 4 hours to beat. But it felt much longer. But it felt like it went on way longer than that. This game blows. Don't try telling me this was the first non-linear game in the series. This isn't non-linear. Or this is 16 fetch quest. This is just 16 in fetch quests. Let's just say my part of the marathon wasn't off to a great start. All right, let's just put it at that. And now moving on to the somewhat infamous sequel on NES. Like with most sequels at that time, let's do something different. And that, of course, being Simon's Quest. For that, I played it. I didn't play the original version. And actually, I actually played a retranslation hack to actually comprehend the dialogue that was originally butchered by localization. And I also found the game more boring than frustrating, and it got a bit tedious at times due to lack of fast travel. This was the first non-linear game in the series, and it shows. No fast travel across this large map. The mansions were really empty, and likely due to the lack of bosses. Most of the difficulty came from invisible floors that require you to spam holy water if you don't have them memorized. How could I not mention the cryptic BS with the crystal? Well, even if I knew what to do, it's still very questionable design. No, really, how is the average player supposed to figure out? You hold down, select this crystal right next to a wall, or this body of water, or to proceed. Day and night cycle is an interesting mechanic, even if that means you have to wait till day for the shops, often churches, to open. And the bosses that are in this game are a total joke. Hell, you can just walk past Death and Carmilla, since the game doesn't stop you from doing so. Oh, and they also respawn, giving you even less reasons to fight them. And Dracula takes so long to move, you can kill him in several different ways before the fight actually starts. Overall, not a terrible game. Overall, not a terrible game. It's just a very flawed one, if you ask me. Yeah, what a horrible night to have a curse, am I right?
Yep.
So this game it makes it all the way into C tier. or I didn't have any real strong feelings about it. And especially when, especially after playing fucking Vampire Killer. Now let that continue. Uh-oh. And with our definition of 2D platformer, that even means the arcade game. And released is back then. And Haunted Castle, which is not very good. This game isn't good. But Simon's hitbox is way too big compared to the screen size. The game felt really awkward to control, especially when trying to avoid taking damage. Some bosses were also either too easy or frustratingly hard. I had to figure out how to beat one of them. I don't know if I'm correct. Like, the fucking stone golem or some shit. Remember? Overall, not a very fun game, but due to be an arcade game first and foremost, it's short enough that doesn't leave lasting hatred. This isn't it. This is another E tier. Actually, the only other E tier on this list. As
both E tiers done, Will.
Now, if you asked me a few years ago, I would have said Adventure was the worst. I couldn't even beat the first level then. Back then. Yeah, you heard me.
Oh, right.
I couldn't, and I never, I didn't even beat the first level. Uh-oh. But now, I finished it. I didn't finish it till like recently. And now it's just boring. Boring. When you get past the janky controls and slow movement, there's just not much there. Bosses are a total joke. There's no sub-weapon. And your whip gets downgraded when you get hit. You can't attack on rope. Leading to cheap shots or enemies. Much like Haunted Castle, the game is too short for me to actively hate it. Though its flaws are less glaring than in the aforementioned arcade title.
Yeah.
Perhaps I judged you a bit too. Harshly.
Yeah, it's not a great game.
It's the only D tier on this list. It's below average.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not calling it good by any stretch of the definition.
But for what it is, it's not the worst thing it could have been.
And yeah, I get it. Look what its competition is.
It's not on the tier of Vampire Killer.
God, at least it's
Was
short.
That D tier?
What
was that? Or E? Was that E?
Adventure is D.
Oh, okay. But it's still bad. What'd you put Haunted Castle in?
E.
E. Okay. Yeah,
That's bad.
It's still bad, but
I
mean, it's understandable why it's bullshit at least.
And also,
it's supposed to get you to use a bunch of quarters on it. It's an arcade game.
I mean, yeah, there are definitely better arcade games out there.
And better Castlevania game. It's more just a novelty than anything.
Yeah, thing is, I just found Adventure a bit more playable. Nothing was like super frustrating. I'll admit I was playing with save states for most of these games, and so maybe that has something to do with it. Either way, for the first time, thanks to I actually missed out on this game, and for years. It's been the game's reimagining. The reimagining released on the Wii. It says WiiWare, Castlevania: The Adventure Rebirth. Er, on the other, Adventure Rebirth, on the other hand, was a very unexpected pull-up from the original. The game actually has sub-weapon, and your whip doesn't get downgraded upon taking hit. This game is also a bit longer to be in line with the rest of the series. You can even change the difficulty as well as how many lives you have. Most importantly, the game just feels much better to control. Yeah. So originally I tried playing the game on normal. But I played the game on normal at first, but then let's change the difficulty down. So I just wanted because it was just a bit too much. Yeah, this game was a pleasant surprise and is definitely worth definitely worth playing if you can figure that out. Oh, this was the first A tier. Adventure Rebirth was the first A tier. Great. Rebirth kind of feels like a lost Saturn game.
It does have that energy.
With at least in terms of like the visuals,
And the presentation of it.
Just the presentation makes it look like a lost Saturn classic Vania. With its lost 32-bit title. Now we take a bit of a detour. Oh, okay. Actually, wait first. Actually, no. Next, we move on to the last game in the NES, the last game in the NES trilogy. Dracula's Curse. Yeah. What else is there to say about the game? What else is there to say about this game, and that hasn't already been said? Add from the additional playable characters to the branching paths to the stairs to the stupid Dracula fight with 3 phases, and the list goes on. I'm just listing some more infamous things. Also, like, this game is like very important in terms of like the series lore.
Was showing Kid Dracula?
Dracula's Curse.
Dracula's Curse.
That's what I was talking about.
Sorry, I just looked at whatever was at the bottom of the list.
I specifically played the Japanese version due to it being a little easier, but regardless of version, play it if you haven't already. I mean,
which one is this? A tier?
Yeah, this is another A tier. I'm finally things are finally picking up. Up on my end. Now we take a bit of a detour. Kid Dracula.
Starting with the NES version.
Kid Dracula FC. It is a weird ass game and really on this list by technicality.
It is part of the Castlevania series in a weird spin-off way, and it is a 2D side scroller.
Mm-hmm.
So it counts by definition.
This is the game where you participate in a game show ran by the Statue of Liberty. If you needed an idea on how weird it is, no, seriously.
That's an actual thing
Instead
you do
of
instead of a level boss because the Statue of Liberty doesn't like fighting. It's goofy.
Yes. Other than that, controls are an improvement over the main NES games, and Drac's abilities are fun to experiment with. The levels tend to be designed around whatever spell you just learned, which really helps you get familiar with the tools at your disposal. It's a charming game, even if it's utterly bizarre next to the rest of the series.
Yep. Moving right on.
That Kid Dracula FC is a B tier.
Mm-hmm. And moving right on to its Game Boy counterpart, sequel/remake/alternate version.
Yeah, I think Kid Dracula GB is pretty much a more refined version of the NES game. And using a lot of the same location and assets, but improving on the level design and it moves it's while keeping the game. What made the first game good. But yeah,
You gave some examples there.
I got some. No, I didn't give any example.
Like
how
in the original game, there was an ability. Like in the NES version, there was an ability that allowed you to freeze enemies and use them as platforms, which was pointless because you got the ability to fly before you unlocked that.
Mm-hmm.
That ability is not present in this version because it was pointless, and the levels lean more heavily into utilizing the ability you just unlocked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, was there like a block breaking or pushing ability?
Something about that, like that. I don't know, like a bomb or something.
There was like a bomb ability.
Yeah, like an explosive
that you can use to break certain things. Anti-gravity.
And anti-gravity. That was in the.
That was in the original too, but they made more use of it in this.
More use of it, yeah. Yeah, but yeah. These 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 are charming games.
I think more people should get to play them.
With the Anniversary Collection, that was the first time the Famicom version game was released in the West.
Mm-hmm.
Now all we need is like Kid Dracula GB on Switch Online.
What tier did you put the GB version?
I put this in A tier. It's a genuine improvement.
And it's a noticeable improvement over the NES version.
And yeah. And which is, I guess, pretty funny considering like most Game Boy conversions
tend to be a downgrade. This one was like glow up.
Mm-hmm. So back to the main games. Aims with Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge. And which is an improvement over the first Game Boy game in every way. And you can shoot. It was what castles are playing in any order, similar to Mega Man, and the level design is a lot better. This game also added the axe and holy water, though you'll mostly be using the axe due to how vertical this game is.
Seriously, it's very convenient to be able to hit enemies above you.
Your whip also doesn't get downgraded upon taking a hit. You can finally attack while on ropes. Biggest problem I had with the first game is that the penultimate boss fight against Soleil was utter bullshit due to the layout of the arena.
Is this the second one?
Yeah, second game.
Yeah.
Or as the fucking game butchers it. It's Soleil. Soleil. Aside from that, this is easily the best of the 3 Game Boy titles. Well, we'll get to the last one.
In a bit. What tier did you put this one in?
This is an A tier.
Yeah.
A very solid game.
Sleeper or hit.
Mm-hmm.
An underrated banger of a game.
Mm-hmm. And what else do I have to say about? So then we move on. Moving on to Castlevania 4
or Super Castlevania 4, if you will.
Yeah. What else do I have to say?
Everything there is to say about praising this game has already been said.
The near perfect controls, the omnidirectional whip, the iconic graphic and sound design, the hidden power-up spot under the grand staircase,
which is equally iconic.
The invisible, the secret invisible stairs.
It's hilarious that's a thing.
It just drops gives you max hearts. Mm-hmm. Hearts a triple shot on a cross. Also, you can stairs are no longer an issue. You can just jump off of that. Also, you can moonwalk. You can moonwalk as well.
Yep.
It's kind of pointless. But it's there.
It's funny.
Yeah. This one, the series got really good for the most part. That aside, it's hard to say anything else about the game other than the fact that that nails pretty much everything. And moving on into the 16-bit era. We got Super Castlevania 4 is an S tier game.
Yeah.
Now, for a while, I didn't have a way to play this one, and until about last year. But yeah, I legit got this game last year, but I didn't get around to it until I had the idea for this marathon.
And that game
Well,
is...
yeah, we're moving on to the Richter games.
Hell yeah.
Names starting with Rondo of Blood.
Richter.
Rondo of Blood is a natural evolution of Classicvania. Reference to playable characters, even if Maria is objectively better than Richter.
Like, seriously?
Oh god.
I can't think of any use cases for Richter over Maria.
I think the problem is that the enemies have smaller hitboxes.
A lot of shorter enemies, and the fact that Maria's projectiles move in sort of a weird arc makes them cover a lot more or ground than Richter's whip.
So you got the game. Let's see. You have. Maria, who can move twice as fast, attack twice as fast, as double jump. I'm doing slide. Do a slide for more to gain more to move faster. Or it can also attack while walking.
It's honestly hilarious how much better she is than Richter in this game.
Mm-hmm. To alternate pathways lead to completely new stages, to having the option to pick your sub-weapon and back up if you accidentally grabbed another.
Yep.
That was not a thing before.
Or it remained. I think it remained pretty consistent throughout the rest of the series.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a nice thing Rondo introduced.
It was in the introduction of the iconic item crash. That's which is in most game, also which is, I think, present in most of the other games. Most of the later games.
At least in some of them.
Whether it be from Richter or not.
But Richter's the one who first used it. Who's them?
Yeah, not really much I can say other than, and definitely try this one if you can figure out a way to play it. And who's fucking next? I'm sorry, I had to.
Die.
Dracula. So moving on. So yeah, Rondo of Blood is an easy S tier. Oh, trust me. Trust me. I will probably have many There will probably be many arguments about this. I've had many arguments about this.
Not the next one?
Oh, no, next is the remake released in 2007.
Oh, yeah.
And Dracula X Chronicles.
It's very confusing.
And so the original game in Japan and subtitle is Dracula X. X Rondo of Blood. The game aim that released on the Westerners got on the SNES S is Dracula X. That's called Dracula XX X in Japan. Mm-hmm. And this here is called the Dracula X Chronicles.
It's so confusing.
Anyways, yeah, Dracula X Chronicles.
And don't forget that there's also a Castlevania Chronicles, completely separate from this.
That's also like a remake.
It's so confusing.
Hey, it's better than having two different games that start is the anagram 8 with the acronym
HOD.
Yeah, so Dracula X Chronicles is mostly a 1-to-1 remake of Rondo of Blood. They did a boss fight against the net for the bad ending. I didn't actually fight that. I did.
Yeah.
I did, if you were wondering. In a third form, form for Dracula, if you actually saved all four. or which, yeah, it's a really hard fight. I only beat the game with Maria. Also, yeah, there's like a redone voice acting. Impossible. Beaten by a little girl. The game laughs at you. Yeah, yes, Dracula, you did get your ass kicked by a 12-year-old girl.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah, so like Rondo, you should try this if you have the means of doing so. This was only released on PSP.
And also, of course, is an S tier, being a pretty faithful remake of Rondo.
Yeah, see, I have no problems with with the remake being 1-to-1, as long as it with little, with not much to improve. As long as assuming
assuming there wasn't much to improve on in the first place.
Mm-hmm. I find my ways to make I find ways to throw jabs at it's somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the weirdest places. Now, I know this was the Dracula Dracula XX or Vampire's Kiss. I don't know why Europe called it Vampire's Kiss.
That's funny.
The game released on the SNES. I think the best comparison, and I made this is the
this is the Mega Man base of Castlevania.
Yeah, a game a game that released on inferior hardware.
An attempt to give people in a different region in a way to play an initially Japan exclusive game.
Well, except reverse that.
To give people in Japan a way to play it.
Yeah, that was Mega Man and Base's case.
Oh, Mega Man 8.
Mega Man 8 was released worldwide. Base was released only in Japan.
Okay.
And so, in the case, this was released in the West. This was released for those who missed out, except the base game. Rondo did not release on the East in the U.S. as of the time,
mm-hmm.
And because the turbo graphics just wasn't that popular there. So the thing is, yeah.
You ever wonder or what Rondo of Blood would be like if it wasn't a good game? Well, here's your answer.
Boy, I sure hope no one. I sure hope I'm not getting destroyed for he's not getting destroyed for saying that.
Yep.
Dracula X is pretty much Rondo of Blood, but worse in every way. There's only 2 alternate stages, which act as punishment for falling in stage 3. There's barely any alternate paths, as you can't play as Maria. The item crashes feel pretty weak. Stage 6 and its spear guards.
Yeah, or it's being annoying as hell to get past.
Yeah, the spear guards in the clock tower.
Yep.
And then there's the one that'll just
get himself stuck sometime.
And the fight with Dracula being slow and tedious while also being set over a bottomless pit for no reason. On my first playthrough, I thought this game was terrible. Oh, but after going through it again, it's just underwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was originally an E-tier game.
It's not, call it just straight up bad, but like, come on, look at what it's trying to be.
Look, I know some have told me that it's maybe a bit unfair to be comparing the game.
Which, fair, but like, even on its own,
even aside from
it's
that,
just kind of awkward and frustrating in a way Rondo wasn't.
And yeah, I did. Yeah, this was the game included in the Advanced Collection. You know, with all the Metroidvanias.
Yeah, why the fuck was this here? Why didn't they just include a version of Symphony of the Night at that point?
I know.
Like, at least that would have been in the same genre.
Uh-huh. Because they-
This just feels really awkward and out of place. Which, yeah, that checks out.
So, moving on from that, yeah, Dracula X is just a C tier game.
Yeah.
Now.
Oh, it's.
Oh, I don't.
Meh.
Now we move on to the only game Sega got. Sega fans got. It's an exclusive.
Castlevania Bloodlines.
It's definitely the most unique of the classic Vanias in a good way. I mean, for one, you don't play as the Belmonts.
Nonsense has the distinction of being the only classic Vania like that. The only classic Vania where you can't play as a Belmont.
It's visually distinct level. All's like you're going all around Europe.
So they actually do stuff with that at level theming wise. Which is cool to see.
Come on, you don't want to destroy. You don't want to destroy a statue. You don't want to decapitate a statue.
You'll use it as a platform.
I mean, also just some of the. Oh no. Oh, never mind. And branching paths within the stages that are usually only accessible with one of the two characters. Yeah, this game also is with the multiple playable characters.
So this time you pick a character at the start of the game.
Yeah.
And play through as them.
And being John Morris or Eric Lecard, or John plays is like the.
That's how you'd expect one of the Belmonts to play.
He can, albeit he can whip diagonally and straight down. He can also just swing on ceiling. Similar to the whip spot, similar to the thing in the floor, and you can even if you're at full health, you can grab a special power, or you can upgrade your whip.
If it unlock a special attack.
Like this electric chain, it's like an electric whip now. Oh, and even get this unique sub weapon, and like clears the screen. And however, yeah, you lose it upon taking a hit.
Yep.
This game also uses hearts and uses crystals instead of hearts. It's for some reason. And Eric plays a lot more plays much differently. He being able to do a high jump have his signature weapon and the Alucard spear. Which can also aim diagonally. He covers a lot more ground, and he can also aim it downwards. It's too. Yeah, it's just both characters are really fun to play as.
As in their gameplay styles are both distinct and fun in their own way.
Yeah, some weapons being powered up after you're when you're at full health, after grabbing a certain item.
And rewards you.
It skills players in a unique way, and to its very distinct and good bosses, like the living gears. It is
a bizarre one.
This is a game that just oozes charm and would have been the perfect game to end I have the marathon on with. However, this game is an easy S tier.
But it's not the last game Noah has to talk about.
However, that was one. There was one more original title that released after this. So, the game that actually released on Switch Online today.
That is Castlevania Legends.
The game that Konami wanted you to forget.
but apparently Nintendo is fine with us remembering.
And hey, they didn't want to put it on a collection.
Yeah, fair.
They wanted to leave it out of collections.
They don't want to remember this game.
Okay, so Legends is. I know this game is very, very infamous. It's the game starring the first and
Only playable female Belmont in the series.
Sonia Belmont. And Legends is extremely forgettable. Oh, there was one annoying stage, and the rest were extremely boring. The one annoying one being stage 2 of the damn respawning ghosts. Game had mid-air jump controls, which was the only Game Boy game to have that.
So that's worth noting, I guess.
As the game also like tries to have, you also like collect an item in each level.
We don't think they actually do.
They lock like a secret level.
Yeah, like a secret level.
There's also this rage mode you can activate once per stage. It just makes you invincible.
All for a short period of time.
Now, the story in this game was also stupid enough to get purged from canon.
Yes. What about the story in this game?
You sure you want to know? So Sonia Belt. So this game This game came out shortly after Symphony of the Night.
So of course they had to put Alucard in the game.
And yeah, it's weird that I've barely mentioned him at all.
He only appears in 2 of the classic Vanias.
Yeah, is possibly who you play as in Kid Dracula.
If you want to consider that part of the canon timeline.
And yes, because he was kind of he had that one appearance. He had that one appearance in Dracula's Curse. Wasn't really much of a. Didn't really. It wasn't. I mean, he was a very different character and
like literally his entire design in this game is completely different from all of his future appearances.
I think it's now been retconned that he always looked like his current design.
Yeah, it was just they were just figuring him out and they wanted to just completely redesign him for Symphony of the Night.
So thing is about this. So you actually have a boss fight with Alucard. He's also really You can also
his
lock
pattern
him into
is hilariously predictable.
Or you can just lock him into one attack. I can. So Alucard around this point would be. Around this point of the timeline would be about 20 or so, or -6 or
somewhere from the range of 20 to -6 to 20.
And Sonia is 17. Why am I bringing this up?
Well, the end of
the game, and also the dialogue
between Sonia and Alucard. The ending scene very strongly. The ending scene has Sonia reveals that Sonia was pregnant during this whole ordeal, and she had a child. And the way things are phrased heavily implies.
So instead of be like a year
later, she had a child. So it's heavily implied that that is Alucard's child.
Alucard, yes, the Belmonts and Alucard Belmont, everyone. Alucard Belmont
is hilarious to me.
Alucard getting wicked Belmont. I'm sorry, but no, yeah, that was just so. This is meant to be This is actually meant to be like the starting point of the timeline.
But they figured. But later they decided the idea that Alucard had a child with one of the Belmonts. Out of these families are genetically intertwined. I guess they figured that was way too stupid to keep in the timeline.
At least in the main timeline.
Way too stupid to keep even into the main canon. There's some weird stuff going on in Lords of Shadow, but we'll discuss that.
We'll get to that.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, Legends. I can't hate this game.
Like it's not an irredeemable piece of garbage that it makes you feel like you're being stabbed a million times when you play it.
Like Vampire Killer.
Oh, like Vampire Killer.
Nothing will ever compare. Nothing will ever be that bad.
The bar is so low for F tier.
No, Legends just isn't a very memorable game, other than the story.
Other than how stupid the story is.
And just the implications it had. Before they decided to have an actual origin point for the Belmont aunts. Lament of Innocence.
Lament of Innocence.
And so, with that being said, okay, I really wish I could have ended on a high note, but such is fate. Now, on to
my portion of the video.
I finished within about 10 days.
He was playing multiple games per day on average.
It's because they're pretty short. Alex took a little over a month.
In my defense, I am a hardcore completionist, and there was a lot to do in these games.
Especially the later one, especially the DS ones.
Commissaro.
Okay. So he originally was gonna try and do a replay of Symphony of the Night, but just never just. But
look, I have to be in a very specific kind of mood to replay games.
And then I told him it's not too necessary if you remember enough of the game.
Like this first, okay, like with Noah's commentary on Castlevania 1, I have no scripting done for my commentary on Symphony of the Night.
Because he was started writing that.
Because it wasn't until after I beat my second game that I started writing my opinions down. What are you doing? So, how do I start this? I guess, well, Symphony of the Night was sort of, well, obviously now it's considered,
This
is like one of the most iconic Castlevania games.
Just what up there, held up as one of the best games ever made.
Hey, they tried a lot of new things with this one, and it was completely different from on the rest of the series before it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the game kind of this game is what invented the term Metroidvania. Before that, I think they were just like Metroid-likes.
Yeah, if Metroid invented the genre, this was the game that sort of caused it to really take hold.
Because this is what helped with the Metroidvania boom.
I mean, well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah,
considering that comes from Metroid, Castlevania.
The game where you where you don't take control of the belt of. The game being a direct sequel to Rondo. Starting with a hilarious reenactment into the game.
The funny thing is, in most of the Metroidvanias, as you don't play as a Belmont. There are two of them where in the main story you control Belmont.
Yep.
And one of them is we'll talk about it.
We'll get to it. And so this was the Alucard's grand return.
Here he is in all his glory.
With his there's now like art more Simon's Quest was like the groundwork for this. This for like the more non-linear kind of set the groundwork for a non-linear game.
But that game was, a bit of a mess.
Mm-hmm. That's with like full-on RPG element and equipment.
As weird as it is to say, Symphony of the Night probably wouldn't be the way it was without Simon's Quest.
Yeah. Also, did I mention like the this game added voice acting.
I didn't say it was good voice acting.
Alex played the version on Dracula X Chronicles. Those are the rewritten script.
With the because the original translation was awkward,
and the fucking voice.
And the voice acting was hilarious.
Die, monster! You don't belong in this world.
Literally, the intro cutscene to the game is just Even if you're not super familiar with Castlevania, chances are you're familiar with that opening speech.
Trust me, the trailer, the Smash trailer referenced it.
Yes.
And Richter's saying, "You don't die, monster. You don't belong in this world."
I forgot he said that in the trailer.
Yeah. And then his splash screen.
Or that's hilarious.
Yeah, I guess. Oh yeah, you do actually get to control Richter for the prologue
during the opening section of the game, which you pretty much just climb a staircase and then fight Dracula, and that's it.
You know, grind a farm of max out your hearts, arts, spam Hydro Store,
or when he dies without issue. Obviously, what you expected this to be on par or the final boss battles in the previous games? No, this is the intro boss.
Yeah. And you know, if you somehow die, if you somehow manage to die,
doesn't Maria come in and make you invincible?
Yep, by the power of all of her animal buddies.
She grants Richter invincibility to finish off Dracula.
Yeah, it cannot be. Ah!
And then we get the transition. And of a burning photograph of if the game freeze frames and it shows a burning photograph, and then it transitions to
the opening crawl.
The opening crawl. We'll talk about the disappearance of Richter or Belmont after Dracula's defeat.
Eden, yeah. How now Alucard is finally awoken and to investigate the return of Castlevania.
I still can't believe that the castle is actually called Castlevania.
The castle in Transylvania.
That feels like a shitpost, but it's real.
It's on 35%.
It's real in canon.
Because I know you're going to talk for a while.
It's real and it's canon. Sorry for the sock photo. That's going to be the thumbnail for the video. You're not allowed to change the orientation, apparently.
Okay, just...
Let me... I circumvented it. I circumgyrated it. A poo friction is very interesting. I'm sorry, that makes no sense at all. A lot of context. Okay, could you get rid of that pillow so I can sit?
Okay. So I guess yeah, Alucard uses a sword as his primary weapon.
And no, he can unlock a shield. He unlocks the shield as well. Yeah, he uses blades pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't remember if Symphony of the Night had
yeah, I'm pretty sure you could use his fists.
Yeah, you could punch if you unequipped things, but I don't remember if you had like brass knuckles and gauntlets and stuff in that one.
Yeah.
And since I mainly stick with the swords for range.
You know, Alucard gets his stuff taken by taken in a way by death at the start.
Or you have to, and later, much later in the game, you can find it.
Another stuff of taken, and Alucard has as his transformation.
Once he can turn to a bat, a wolf, or mist.
That one's very situational.
It's pretty much you only use to pass through wall grates.
It's yep.
I mean, with an upgrade, you can also use it to poison enemies.
And like yeah, yeah. He also gets a bunch of familiars and several spells.
The familiars help you fight. I think I don't remember if the fairy does. No, the fairy can use items for you. The other ones, they attack. Fix that.
Stick to the sword, right?
Yeah, stick to the sword, pretty much.
Stick to the sword.
Or sword's the best. Sword's just good. There's a specific sword called the Chrysogrim.
And which
and that you can get in the second half of the game. I guess more like last third, since there's this inverted castle, which is this,
what have I done?
It's literally yeah. if you meet the good ending requirements, aka doing some convoluted, doing some convoluted things where you grab, you collect a ring by, I first getting access to this old riverman, and by collecting artifact, and then having in the riverman and carry you across a different thing to get a rate. No, to get specific boots to walk through spikes and talk to Maria, and she'll give you a ring. You get another ring by interacting with a fake save point. Point and fighting the succubus.
Oh yeah, Mother, I'm coming.
So yeah. And then you have to wear both of those rings at the same time in the clock room to have a fight with Maria, in which she'll give you special glasses that you have to wear in the fight with Richter, or to allow you to see a floating orb that you have to attack instead of him to avoid getting the bad ending. And then you unlock the.
And then yeah, it's revealed that Richter was controlled by a shaft. Richter somehow fell for this.
I don't know how he ended up getting tricked by Shaft.
Is he that stupid? I mean,
it won't surprise me. Have you seen how he is in Rondo? Richter is a himbo.
What have I done? That's what he says right after. Oh, he accidentally helped resurrect Dracula. What have I done?
Like, dude, it's not your fault. You're just stupid.
So yeah, the inverted castle. Okay, I know. It doesn't feel like padding.
I mean, to a degree, but they're completely different enemies and bosses, and items, and they do enough to change to mess with the layout that and it feels different.
But either way, by the time you actually 200.6% at the map. You finally you beat up Shaft. You shred through Shaft in a few seconds.
And with the stupid and overpowered item you got from a floating head in the library.
Then hey, there's Dracula.
And you kill him in less than a minute.
Why the fuck does he look like that?
What is this Dracula design?
What is his?
This is one of the most bizarre iterations of him. It's like Dracula, but he's sitting on a throne of organic matter. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to describe this as it's just such a bizarre design.
And yeah, and it looks so weird. And either way, Dracula in the original recites a Bible verse,
which is hilarious. Why is Dracula quoting the Bible?
And then here and
Alucard really hates his mother's last words.
And he said,
and Dracula thanks him.
I guess.
He dies.
What have I done? I have killed my own father.
That's how the game ends.
Ends where I think Maria, if you met the requirements, and Maria decide
to go after Alucard.
Hard after encouragement from Richter.
Or Alucard says, "Oh, I have to go back to sleep." Because I am cursed and I'll...
No, it's just look at this design.
And then Maria's like, "No, Alucard, don't do it." And then she goes after him. It's ambiguous.
Yeah, that's the design.
This is a weird ass design.
It's like multiple the morphs.
It's so strange.
Like some fucked up weird xenomorph.
I don't know what xenomorph you're looking at.
Like the head, the xenomorph head.
But yeah, okay. Gameplay wise, there's equipment. You level up. Look, it's hard for me to talk about the first game in a series too.
Yeah.
You just know that the mechanics in this game laid the groundwork for the rest of the Metroidvanias.
Yeah. You're even having magic meter too.
Well, most of the rest of them.
Okay, let's rip this. I think.
Well, let's.
So I guess in terms of placement, when it comes to placement.
Again, and upon playing it, Yeah, I get why people love this one so much. Well, it should surprise me to see how well they nailed the genre on their first attempt at it.
Oh, but I guess it doesn't stop there.
Because there were 7 other games aims that came
Well,
after.
I meant in terms of like extra content.
So, yeah, right. I almost forgot to talk about that. Sorry.
These games have a lot of usually have a lot of extra content.
And which generally includes extra modes to play.
Bonus playable characters.
This game has the ability to play as Richter or Maria. Once you've beaten it as Alucard.
Or just simply
name a file, Richter or Maria.
By the way, Maria's not in the PS1 original.
Well, she was added in the Saturn version.
And the
PSP version also has her, but it's a completely different Maria than the Saturn one. Like they made a different Maria style for that.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre.
Which is more something closer to how she normally plays. Alex did end up beating Richter mode.
Maria not so much.
Yeah, he got to the hippogriff and then.
If I was doing such pitiful damage to it that I just didn't bother with Maria.
Yeah.
Beyond that,
I think she is considered one of the hardest extra modes.
Well, it's because the way Symphony and Night works.
These two don't level up.
And the way things are scaled means that enemies will quickly go from being an absolute joke to two-shotting you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just talking bosses, I'm talking common enemies that just lay around. Richter can die. It's not another question for Richter to just die in 2 hits from any old enemy in the inverted castle.
Yep.
Well, because he doesn't gain more defense or HP.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely. Yeah, they didn't put much thought into these modes. It seems.
At least at first.
At least at first.
Now moving on to the Game Boy Advance games.
And oh boy, Symphony that I S tier. I already said. I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me get to this. All right, we'll move over.
So, moving on to the
stand up. Just let me go through.
Moving on to the launch title. A launch title for the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, it's weird to think that Castlevania was a launch title.
Oh, we have Circle of the Moon, which was meant to be like a reboot for the series. I guess didn't pan out.
So Circle of the Moon is bizarre.
Yeah, it's set in an alternate timeline.
Where the Belmonts don't exist. Instead, you play as Nathan Graves.
Nathan Graves and Aves. Aves. This is the guy. This is the man. And to take down Dracula.
Here, because he wields the whip.
Joined by his friend. Joined by his friend and Hugh Baldwin.
Yeah. Okay. So this game has this card system that's kind of weird. So you collect these cards called
DSS.
For this DSS system. Basically, you could pick 2 cards and then and use your sub. It's a separate input from your sub weapon.
Yeah.
Then you press a button and you can activate it and it slowly consumes your magic meter.
Mm-hmm.
Or while active.
Yeah.
And there are a ton of different effects, and honestly, some of these are super cool.
I think there are multiple problems with it, though.
The main one being that getting card drops is slow and tedious.
And also, it's not explained to you at all.
Yeah.
And also, to figure out, to know what each card combo does, you need to first use it. You need to first try it out.
You don't get told what it does until you figure out how to activate it properly. If a card increases your defense, you have to get hit with the effect active for it to tell you that it raised your defense.
Or God forbid, there's an attack. There's one that only works depending on plant-based attacks.
Yeah, only one that gives you immunity to plant-based attacks. When there are like 2 enemies in the game that use those.
Yeah. Some of these are not explained.
And are weird as hell to activate.
It's so much. There's like no prompt for no guide tutorial on how to use this. Is there anything at all is explained? And drop. The big problem is just
Drops.
the average player probably won't get all of them on in their first playthrough.
Yeah. Other than that, this game is just kind of really, really difficult compared to Symphony of the Night and hell, any of the games that came after it.
Yeah, this one is like stupid, like really hard. Also, it's easy to get. So I guess as you
the enemies are strong, they tend to swarm you or be extremely difficult to hit without getting hit yourself.
Oh,
and a funny. Maybe you consider it to be funny thing. This thing I wrote here talks about this game and Harmony of Dissonance, which is the next game. So I'll go over that real quick. And I'll tell you the tiers for both of these after I'm done talking about them, because my points about them, I was like comparing the two of them. Harmony of Dissonance, instead of DSS, has spellbooks, which are static spawns in the environment. Thank God. Odd. And and they apply secondary. They modify your sub weapons.
Yeah.
And there are like, I think, 5 of them.
Yeah.
Don't forget you also have different tips you can attach to your whip.
Yeah.
To increase its damage or apply elemental properties. I think it was elemental properties. I'm bad at describing this. This is why I have a script here.
Yeah.
Let me just put what I wrote for both of these games, and I think that sums up my thoughts on them pretty well.
Yeah.
Getting card drops at Circle of the Moon was slow and tedious, especially with those damn candles, because there were 2 enemies called the Trick Candle and something else candle, I don't remember, but they spawn in specific boss rooms that you have to backtrack to after beating a different boss, and the 2 cards are locked behind on this kind of enemy. It's just really stupid.
Yeah.
That they're like that. I don't know why they're like that. And thankfully the drop issue isn't really a thing in Harmony of Dissonance, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. All right, back to the list. I ultimately did prefer the DSS system as a whole over the spellbooks. Well, yes, the spellbooks saw more use overall. I rarely ever saw reason to use anything aside from the Ice/Wind Dagger, when using the Lightning Dagger once for death. Meanwhile, with the existence of both passive effects and spells that mostly don't rely on sub-weapons made it a lot easier to switch up what I was rolling with on a case-by-case basis when it came to DSS. And I didn't need foresight of what I'd be dealing with to do so. Because like, I don't know what sub-weapon I'm going to want to have, so I just stuck with the one that worked. Worked for me. Which was the dagger. This is probably a me problem, but one change I'd make to the spellbook system is having a way to permanently obtain sub-weapons at some point. It makes switching things up a lot less of a gamble and encourage more experimentation, which the DSS did manage to accomplish. As for level design, I respect the simplicity of Circle of the Moon's map, but Harmony of Dissonance definitely did some pretty neat stuff with the 2 castles. Made for some interesting puzzles. But also led to a lot of retreading old ground, just trying to figure out where to go. Seriously, anyone who was there when I was talking about, was documenting my playthrough, could vouch for how difficult it was for me to figure this one out.
He frequently got lost.
With no exaggeration, Harmony of Dissonance is the most I've gotten lost in a game in a very long time.
Yeah.
I mean, not like the fun exploring around, but more like, okay, where the fuck do I go after I unlock this? Yes. Yeah. I didn't find myself getting annoyed by backtracking very much in Circle of the Moon, but it was very noticeable in Harmony of Dissonance. I was like, I gotta go all the way over there. That being said, Circle of the Moon had one thing that was more irritating than every little nitbook I had with Harmony of Dissonance: the battle arena. How in the actual hell is anyone supposed to be able to clear that on real hardware? Some of the later rooms of that gauntlet genuinely feel like something out of a bad ROM hack. Because there was a room that's filled with nothing but 8 fucking tanky ass minotaurs. Did I mention you don't get health restoration into this entire thing, and your DSS system is entirely disabled? I'm not joking, by the way. You can't use your spells. You only get the amount of health and hearts you came in with, and a sub weapon.
And what do you get out of all of
that? 2 other cards. 2 cards that drop from enemies that only appear in the arena.
What the fuck?
And also on real hardware, imagine not getting those card drops after clearing almost the entire thing.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them feel like something out of a bad ROM hack. Oh, yeah, they also didn't do enough job signalizing that something, cleansing necklace, was even a thing that existed.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's probably petty to knock the game down for something that was probably my own stupidity in hindsight, but it dampened my enjoyment. It's affecting the ranking.
Yes, so he went to the waterway.
Without the cleansing amulet.
Because...
Nothing implied that... Because it was entirely possible to get through it without it.
Oh no, he arrived to the boss
okay,
level.
I guess I'm just supposed to avoid going in the water as much as possible and use health restoration in DSS. So why the hell are they going to require me to sit around like this? Oh. And then after I'd already done that, I'd be in Carmilla like 3 level, like super under level, so I gained like 3 levels upon beating her. I discovered I was supposed to go fight Death first because he was guarding an item that cleaned the water.
I remember
and not kill me upon stepping in it.
I vividly remember that reaction you made. It
was like,
I am going to hurt someone or something.
I was so fucking pissed about that. How was I supposed to know that clean up the poop water was an item in this game?
Clean up the poop water.
How was I supposed to expect there to be an item that cleaned the poop water?
That's such a dumb sentence.
Bro, that's so dumb. I could have gone through that area without having my health rapidly drain and when I stood in sewage.
Nathan, I'm sorry I had Drew talk fucking characters.
Yeah, Hugh has that infamous line.
How could you not go and mention Juste
Belmont on I think the most so Juste and Maxim had do Castlevania in the search for their friend Liddy, who went there with Maxim before and went missing. Maxim has amnesia.
Arg, death has returned.
So pretty much, I don't want to spoil the entire plot, but just there's one funny thing.
So
there is a room
in the castle
that you can decorate with items you've collected.
So originally, from what I read, this was
a feature intended for Symphony of the Night,
which makes more sense
considering Alucard. I think he lives there.
I think he lived there.
He like breaks into it in game. Like it was at least his home at some point.
That makes more sense. And no, a fucking Belmont.
Decorating Dracula's castle. He says a room. He comments on how bland a room looks and decides he's going to gather stuff up to decorate it.
And also a jukebox.
Also, there's a jukebox here, like a century and a half before those should exist.
Mm-hmm.
So this game takes place in the 1700s, and jukeboxes weren't invented until the late 1800s.
Yeah. This castle is a creature of chaos.
And
also
apparently
may take many incarnations.
Apparently, that also means spawning hamburgers in the 17th century, in the 18th century.
Yep. Dracula invented the gamer chair.
So That being said, I think of both of these games. Where's the tier list?
Open right there, right there. Both these games
Have their ups and downs.
and yeah, definitely.
But overall, I think I did enjoy playing both of them, which puts them firmly in B tier.
This one's also had an extra mode.
Or you could play as Maxim, and oh my god, it's so much more fun than playing as Juste because, well, he has everything from the start. He doesn't need to worry about where the fuck do I go next.
That's the thing with these extra mode. Yeah, Circle does not have one of an extra mode.
Oh, it has. No, it does. It has Magician mode where you have infinite mana.
And then you can
on start. No, I don't think you have infinite mana. You start with all of the DSS cards.
You have to like play each mode
in succession. So you don't unlock the next mode until you've beaten in Magician mode.
So they're just like challenge runs.
It's like do this challenge run, which is cool in concept, but like I didn't bother.
Yeah.
Really.
So that being said,
let's move on to the last game of the Game Boy Advance era.
Aria of Sorrow.
Oh my god. They did it.
The game set. Yep.
This game is set in
2035.
2035.
Oh god, that's a
little over a decade from now.
That's about a decade from. Oh god. Soma has been. Soma is like 5 years old right now.
Oh, and probably watching Skibbity Town.
He didn't say that.
I said it.
He someone else said it, right?
Yes.
Anyways, that aside, yeah, the game stars Soma Cruz. Who's a young man.
And from Japan, who gets trapped in a solar eclipse somehow.
Okay, yeah, okay, the story's the setup is a bit goofy.
What the fuck? And I think the goofiest thing is the translation for this one. I think this one, like, along with Symphony of the Night, is the one that's most infamous for having a really bad translation.
Yes, it was me. I have magical powers. I am filled with fear whenever I hear the name Dracula.
So, there is a Belmont in this game. He's not. He's playable in an extra mode, but he in the main story he has amnesia. He introduces himself as Jay. He says, "I am Jay. I am filled with fear when I hear the name Dracula." Nobody mentioned anything about Dracula. Why are you bringing this up?
I also have magical powers.
And then out of nowhere, later on, someone asks, Jay, are you an exorcist? And that prompts him to say that he has magical powers.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this writing?
Yeah. Either way, yeah.
I really wonder how this floated in the original translation, because it's botched so horribly in the English localization.
Other supporting characters include Genya Arikado.
Yes.
Genya
Arikado. Yoko Donati's. Oh, hey, we haven't heard from Sypha.
I haven't heard the Donati's clan
in ages.
Hammer, the shopkeeper. He was part
of the military and sent here to the castle to investigate.
He was also wasn't he too much of a coward?
He was too much of a coward to actually fight, so he became a shopkeeper instead.
And he gets worse. He gets worse. He's gross.
He's also kind of gross.
Incel.
Yeah. He doesn't really do anything malicious, but he's just weirdly obsessive. And, we'll get to him.
But either way, yeah. So this game's gimmick
is our souls. Soma possesses the power of dominance, which allows him to collect the souls of defeated monsters and use them to use special attacks, summons, or enhance his movement and abilities.
Yeah.
Hey, look, you can even turn into a bat. So this system, I'm very happy with it because it's exactly what I asked for when I was playing Harmony of Dissonance. It's this, and this gimmick or whatever is something you get convenient access to throughout the whole game, instead of having these things hard gated to specific points of progression.
Yeah, or like, complete. Yeah, they do have the randomness factor.
There is an RNG factor, but there are enough good souls, and like unless you're specifically farming to complete your collection, you'll be able to get some usable, downright good souls with relatively little effort.
Oh wait, I forgot to mention, in this game, I think the luck stat broke.
Yeah, starting in this game, the luck...
was starting in Dissonance.
No, starting in Harmony of Dissonance, the luck stat broke and doesn't function correctly. So you can't increase your drop rate for anything without items that specifically make rare drops or soul drops more likely to happen. Like the stupidly expensive Soul Eater ring.
Yes. That makes souls more likely to drop.
It'd be nice if you could save up for this before endgame, and considering it's 300,000 in gold at base.
There's also like your completion reward,
which is the Chaos Ring, which allows you to
unlimited magic.
Which gives you unlimited magic. Well, it's technically not unlimited, but it recharges is extremely fast, to the point where it might as well be unlimited.
Yeah. So, what else do you have to say about the game?
So, here's what I wrote. One actual complaint I have about Aria of Sorrow is that I wish either the luck stat was functional or drop rates for souls were higher. The low point of the game was definitely grinding for souls, but I'm completely aware that's entirely optional.
Yeah.
There were maybe like about a dozen not automatically obtained souls that I regularly use, so it's very easy to just pick your favorites and go for those.
Yeah, really.
Oh, yeah, that and the traversal souls, most notably Skula, having to be manually equipped over the things used for combat. That one really should have been an ability soul. Speaking of souls, they did it. They actually did the thing I suggested and just made the sub-weapons permanent additions to your arsenal. It was really fun trying different souls out. Ghost, Tiny Devil, Werewolf, Bifron, and Disc Armor were probably my favorites. Those were really fun to use. The map design managed to be interesting to navigate without being annoying or confusing, and warp points were placed just the right distance from each other to make backtracking pretty much painless. The Peeping Eye Soul especially helps the hidden walls not feel cheap this time around. Look at you, Circle of the Moon. And nothing felt overly cryptic. This was, I think, my favorite puzzle to figure out was using the Chrono Mage Soul to slow down the Skyfish. I was super stoked when that worked. So, like, in the cavern area in the game, aim in one room, might be 2 rooms. There's a blur that flies across the top of the screen, and you see, you have access to a soul that slows down time. And normally this blur can't be interacted with, it just zooms by. But if you use the Chrono Mage Soul to slow down time, you can actually attack the thing and grab its soul. Also, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, so it's just one map, back to just one map up again.
And so no excess padding in this one, on which thankfully remains standard for the rest of these.
This game also includes as a bonus for beating the game, a Julius mode,
which is pretty similar to how Maxim mode handled in the previous game.
And Richter.
Richter, or same with Richter or Maria modes in Symphony of the Night.
You can actually cycle between sub-weapons and with Julius.
Yes, he has a sub-weapon inventory that he cycles through with the shoulder buttons.
He still can't level up, I think.
Yeah, he can in Dawn of Sorrow, but Aria of Sorrow he cannot.
Okay, I guess.
I don't think.
So yeah, so I guess in terms of placement,
this one, easiest here. Like I didn't have to question it.
Next up is the one that probably took him the most time.
I'm
the direct sequel,
Dawn of Sorrow, taking place a year after the first game.
In 2036.
Soma's coming to terms with, well, I'm not going to talk about it because it's not relevant to this video, but major spoiler or stuff from the end of the previous game. And also something spoiled in Smash Ultimate for no reason, really.
No reason.
And, yeah.
I mean, the game's like the game's over 20 years.
Still, I'd rather not spoil a major plot point like that.
But either way, yeah, the game. It's pretty much an extent, just more Aria, right?
Yeah, everything I have to say about Dawn of Sorrow. Yeah, look, I said I'll start with Dawn of Sorrow with the DS games, both to cover them in order, and because a lot of the thoughts I have about Aria translate to Dawn.
Yeah.
The Soul system was still really fun to use, grinding aside. My favorites this time around were Axe Armor, Disc Armor, Malakota, and Abaddon. Stuff like Succubus, Golem, Stolas, and Treant were also really useful for utility. The castle design in Dawn was probably the one I could navigate most comfortably, though that may just be because I played through it 5 times.
Oh.
And backtracking is pretty much a non-issue. I will say that the magic seals were a bit of an unnecessary mechanic, but they were pretty much a non-issue after I got the muscle memory for them. Mechanic I have no sympathy for, however, are the gold doors. I spent like 20 minutes grinding blue coins for a candle over the one in the lab on my first playthrough. Overall, though, I'd say I had a fun time.
There's even more, like, even how, like, weapon upgrading, like, weapons,
Yes,
too.
you could upgrade weapons, and most of the higher tier weapons are exclusive to crafting.
Mm-hmm.
So Yoko has this thing she can do. This thing is called Soul Fusion.
Yeah.
And where you use up a soul in your inventory to upgrade a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Now the thing is, 3 of these upgrades require boss souls, which are obtainable once per save file.
Yes.
Now, if you want to have every weapon in your inventory like I did, okay, sure, that's 1 extra playthrough for Abaddon and Death to get the final upgrades of the sword and claymore or branches.
However,
you see this boss, Gurgoth, it's the 5th to last upgrade. So if you want to have all 4 of the ones preceding that in your inventory, you have to play through the game 5 times specifically for extra Gurgoth souls.
I thought it was 4 playthroughs.
It was 4? I said 5.
4. You just...
I was counting Julius mode, so yeah, 4th to last. Same still applies.
I should thank my lucky stars.
Oh yeah, also, this game is oddly amusing.
Like, really, really funny.
I don't know how intentional that was, but also the dialogue in this game is hilarious. It's to me.
Yeah, so yeah, this game also includes this game further expands on Julius mode. Look at that.
You can play as Yoko and Alucard as well. And there's also an alternate final boss for Julius mode, so that's cool.
And also, for the first time, I'm an extra.
Yeah, speaking of which, the main game final boss is like one of, if not the hardest bosses in the series. It's genuinely super hard. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, so for the first time, I'm in an extra campaign.
You can level up.
They actually can level up.
You don't have equipment, but yeah.
You can. It's actually built around. It's actually scaled from. You're not at like a disadvantage.
So Julius plays again how you expect with his sub weapons and stuff. Yoko is interesting in that she her attacks restore her health. Health and Alucard, he can turn to a bat. I don't remember if he had another thing he could do, but yeah, that's the main and big thing he can do.
Yeah, this was. Also, this is where the series. Also, this is where the series took on a more became more anime.
Yeah, in terms of art style, which was a bit of a controversial change.
I think it's somewhat divisive among fans.
Some fans are fine with it or prefer the new style. Others were annoyed at the loss of the series' unique style. All that it had in the prior games.
Yep.
It's not really I say, considering I didn't join this community until a few months ago, so yeah, I have no strong opinions in the art style shift.
So moving on, the next game in 2006
is Portrait of Ruin. This was an interesting one in that it took a little bit longer to grow on me. That be oh yeah. Also, Dawn of Sorrow was S tier.
Yeah. This game is a direct sequel to Bloodlines.
Which is unexpected. And you play as Jonathan Morris, or son of John Morris. I don't know why his name is just his dad's name, but longer.
What the fuck did you just say about the fucking whip?
Shut up. And Charlotte Aubin. Now, what's interesting about this game is that is that you can have two characters out at once. So your main character and a CPU character that follows you around and helps you out. And surprisingly, they weren't as stupid as I was expecting. The CPU still had its moments, but yeah, surprisingly competent. And what's even cooler is there's a button that allows you to use the sub-weapon of the character following you around. Which just adds to the depth of the mechanic. And of course, there are other things like Charlotte. It has access to a Toad and Raven transformation. Crow, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Frog, Toad, and Bird. And if you select that, you can actually turn Jonathan into a Toad or Bird, or to move around instead, which I don't really think is particularly useful. More useful than having Charlotte do it herself, but it is a thing you can do, which I thought was interesting. Alright, the characters, alright, the Bird and Toad forms have unique colors for the characters, as I believe. But yeah, you actually collect sub-weapons, and they're not dropped from candles or breakables in this game, and they're permanent and inventory items you can equip. The same applies to Charlotte's spells. And both use the magic meter, which you collect hearts to fill in this game. So the hearts and magic are one thing. Which they were since Aria. No, since Aria, I think, yeah.
Yeah, since it's Aria.
They were since Aria.
What else do you have to say about this game?
Okay, so yeah, all that being said, I had a lot of fun with this one once it clicked for me. The castle itself was fun to navigate, in spite of being downsized to get the portraits a bit more focus. And the portraits were neat extensions to the level design, as well as giving them an excuse to add new locales like desert and residential areas. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, does mirror Bloodlines in an interesting way. And it had more varied environments than the rest of the games.
Yeah, I guess as the name implies.
As this game's gimmick is entering portraits. It's in fighting the bosses within to eventually unlock the ability to eventually reach the vampire Browner, Browner. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Call him Browner. Or Brunner, who has taken over Dracula's castle after his death. He lost his family in World War II.
Yes, this game takes place in the 40s.
Yeah.
As the opening crawl tells you.
Yeah. So, well, there's the mysterious ghost man, and there are these vampire sisters, who were apparently Bronner's daughters. They're also one of the extra modes in this game. There are 3 extra modes, by the way.
There are 3 extra modes.
The Sisters one is actually canon and is a prequel.
It's a prologue to the game.
It's a prologue story.
Which I think you just get for beating the game.
Yeah, which you unlock for beating the game. There's Richter and Maria mode, which is obviously non-canon. You get for fighting the Richter or Memory of the Whip boss fight. And then beating the game. And there's old axe armor mode. You get it for beating the game after killing 100 of the old axe armor enemies.
I thought it was 1,000.
No, 1,000, yeah. So 1,000 of the old axe armor enemies, nobody is going to figure this out on their own.
This is very much a joke mode.
But all 3 playable all 3 extra modes are also fun in their own ways.
This was actually the first time the West actually got to play as Maria.
Yeah. Oh, and also, something interesting is Jonathan can equip multiple different types of weapons, just us like Alucard could back in Symphony of the Night, which Well, that Soma could in the games prior to.
Yeah. Yeah, but what else did you write?
Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised by how gracefully having two characters at once was handled. Of course, it wasn't the first time it had been done. Dracula's Curse has that distinction, but it was the first time the characters could directly support each other, and for the most part, it works really well. Obviously, it's not perfect. My main criticism being how atrocious your ally can be at avoiding damages in some circumstances, especially egregious with environmental hazards. They get themselves caught in spikes and traps constantly.
Yeah.
But they did a damn good job for their first attempt in 17 years. Another thing this game gets props for is having the best selection of extra modes out of any game. All three of them were super fun and unique, and honestly helped elevate the game to S tier for me.
Yeah. As you
Old
said.
Axe Armor mode has the distinction of being in a solo mode with no ally character. Or you do stupid damage and attack really fast, but have limited range. You do also have an axe sub-weapon that you can throw, of course.
Yes.
And a button input, a tackle attack, which is really awkward to use, so I didn't really use it much.
Yeah.
Richter and Maria are a lot closer to the main game in terms of balancing. Even though Maria ended up being my go-to character most of the time, because yeah, she once again outclasses Richter in pretty much every way. Right? And I only really switched to Richter for enemies that had high enough defense to drastically decrease the amount of damage Maria could do to them. Since Richter's base attack, since Maria has multi hits, it's in her attacks. Richter has higher attack overall.
Yeah, this game was. I mean, I guess this is fitting because the game was released for the series' 20th anniversary.
And the other mode was Sisters mode, of course, which is super bizarre since it's controlled entirely with the D-pad and the touch screen.
What?
Are you guys ready for me to get started?
Almost.
All right.
We're almost done.
Tell me when I'm done.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah, we're almost done.
yeah. Sorry about that.
Anything? Yeah, I like how the game they actually he decided to continue the story of Bloodlines.
That was really cool to see.
Saying I don't think Bloodlines had a Bloodline was still is somewhat I think somewhat obscure.
Or so it was
that
fun
time.
to see them bring that back up.
Up in yeah. So now we just got 2 games left. Have to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Next
Last of the DS games, we have
I guess the weird one.
Order of Ecclesia. The only canon in Castlevania game and to have a solo female lead. A lot of the 2D games, I don't remember if what that 64 one was canon or not.
No, that's not canon.
Not canon anymore. The only canon Castlevania game with a solo female lead.
Shinoa.
Shinoa has access to glyphs, which are sort of like souls from the Sorrow games combined with standard equipment. You have 2 attacking glyphs, ifs that encompass both your spells and basic melee attacks, and everything uses magic, but it recharges very fast.
Yeah.
So the catch is that you have to stop attacking to recharge your magic. So it's sort of like a back and forth. Or an extra a glyph that's like a summon or mobility thing. And of course there are also glyphs that are permanent upgrades. It's you could toggle on and off like the relics from Symphony of the Night. This game's interesting in that it's somehow a weird hybrid of Metroidvania and level-based. There's a world map that you directly select where to go to from, but you have to visit places in a specific order to finish the game, and there are plenty of alternate paths. Like this one is definitely the most uniquely structured out of all of the 2D Castlevania games. There's even a town with side quests in this one.
and then and we're and we're some of the townsfolk actually. Some of the townsfolk actually descend from the Belmont clan.
And I think there's at least one character who, one of these characters is Julius's ancestor.
Yeah, one of these yeah. This game is set sometime in the 19th century.
We know it takes place after Portrait of Ruin.
Before.
Well, 1940s?
1940s was Portrait.
Yeah, 1900s.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It takes place probably before, or sometime in the early
'Cause I know, yeah.
sometime in the early 1900s. Was it late 18 or
somewhere in the 1800s?
somewhere in the mid to late 1800s?
It's the game's not clear on that.
This one's weird in that it doesn't have a concrete timeline placement.
Well, I guess the events.
We just know it was after Symphony of the Night, but before or Portrait of Ruin.
Or Bloodlines.
Before after Symphony of the Night, but before Bloodlines.
Yeah,
Somewhere between those two games.
Yeah, this game is a very. It's very weird in terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'd say, we're cliche. Well, I obviously had a great time with this. I also ended up getting frustrated a good amount more than I did with either of the other DS games. A lot of the enemies and bosses were notably more difficult than in games prior, which, well, I acknowledge that it's very much a skill issue. It did still affect my enjoyment of the game. The glyph system also didn't really fully click with me the same way Souls did, mainly due to the limiting versatility with the merging of weapons into it. As a result, I rarely used the actual weapon glyphs once I had access to Askia, Illuminatio, and Acerbatus. Yes, it definitely has its merits, though, and I really should have experimented more with glyph unions than I did. One thing I think this game excelled at, though, is the presentation. The visuals, writing, soundtrack came together in such a way that this one had me more immersed in the world and characters than any prior game. Dividing the game into levels was probably another contributing factor to this, as it makes the game feel grander in scale, as well as being a natural evolution to the Portrait worlds from the previous game. Taking all this into account, I still think this game is worthy of S tier. If I were ranking the games within tiers, it'd probably be around Aria.
Yeah. So I guess the whole. Yeah, I guess the game's whole world building.
And there's like a lot of depth to the world building in this one.
And all the side.
Also, the soundtrack in this one is absolutely phenomenal. Well, all of these games had awesome soundtracks. Harmony of Dissonance's sound suffered from having a weird ass sound font.
Held back by the GBA.
Held back by the GBA's hardware, which is weird because a Circle and Aria didn't really have that same issue. But
also, there is also this game just has one extra mode.
Yeah, all the DS games have banger soundtracks. Yeah, there's one extra mode where he plays the character Albus, who is also a main character or in the main story.
He's kind of. I think he's kind of broken.
He can teleport and he has a gun.
I think that's all you need.
I think that's all you need to know about.
He can teleport and has a gun.
He has a gun and teleports.
Now I ended on a pretty low note.
Alex, let's talk about Lords of Shadow, Mirror of Fate.
Yes, we jump into the side series.
The one side scroller out of the 3 Lords of Shadow games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, it's not that weird. That only one of them is a side scroller, considering a few there were. So still,
this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Mirror of Fate. This one was, well, the best way to put it is weird, I think.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I immediately want to give the game credit on is that the graphics look really nice for a 3DS game, ignoring the jarring lack of any sort of lip syncing.
Mm-hmm.
And oh yeah, the voice acting was cool too. I was surprised that the Belmonts were Irish.
Irish.
Yeah. High quality graphics aside, though, the general visual style of the game didn't charm me as much as the games prior. Her soundtrack, while helping with the atmosphere, was also bizarrely forgettable for a Castlevania game. I didn't remember a single song within the week. Like, aside from like the sound font, all they use for like the vocals, or like the choir vocals in some of the tracks. Gameplay wise, they managed to make backtracking feel tedious again, with no more than 3 pairs of binary warps per act. At the very least, everything is tracked well within the game itself, and the combat was pretty neat. More of a beat 'em up approach in this one, with many hits in general being pretty satisfying. Unfortunately, I do think they give a lot of the enemies a bit more health than they should have had, as encounters did drag on occasion, notably the bosses.
Yeah.
This tended to be pretty long. There was some interesting quick time events in this game too.
Yeah, this was they did try and translate a fucking God of War style game.
And for that, I commend it. Overall, it was an interesting take on the formula, and honestly gained some points for me on novelty alone. I'm thinking this one probably goes in low B tier for me. A few notable issues, but I enjoyed the experience well enough. This definitely the one and I'm least interested in going back to. Considering the overall, like, yes, I get the overall vibe of Castlevania, sort of dark and gothic. This game sort of felt like a bit dull.
Yeah.
All in terms of presentation.
I guess it was at least somewhat interesting in terms of story, right?
Not gonna spoil the utter bizarreness of the story this time around.
I mean, it's a separate continuity.
It's separate continuity, so things are different in canon, but oh boy, are they different in some weird ways, and that's all I'm gonna say about that.
So I guess that concludes this. It's our ranking of every 2D Castlevania. Now there were some games that were left off of this list at least for the time being. Those I guess those being in the
3D games.
There's the PS2 game. Aims in the form of Lament of Innocent, Ensign Curse of Darkness, the N64 games. Well, aims however you aims the one just generically called Castlevania. Or CV64 is some dupe, or Apocalypse. Legacy of Darkness, which I think is just an expansion of the original, and even includes a version of that. Just the full game within it. The Lords of Shadow, the other Lords of Shadow. Okay, the Lords of Shadow 1 and 2. Mirror of Fate HD, I guess.
And we're getting a Steam Deck this year, so you figure out the rest.
Oh yeah, there was also the arcade game that was like just recently recovered.
Right, there was
It was like a rail shooter, I think, like a rail shooter, there's also Judgment, the fighting game for the Wii.
Oh boy.
And Harmony of There's also Harmony of Despair, which was a multiplayer focused game.
Well, Judgment we can probably figure out pretty soon once we obtain a legal copy of that game.
And Tremor of Souls was a mobile game which I think was discontinued, which I think was shut down. Also, yeah, we still have a decent amount of games left. This tier list also included the Bloodstained games, but
I mean, those aren't technically part of the Castlevania series, even if they were spiritual successors made by some of the same devs.
I'm not. Yeah, exactly.
But they are on my radar.
I played the two platformers, Curse of the Moon.
Yeah, the two classic style ones.
Curse of the Moon 1 and 2, and Ritual of the Night. I mean the main game.
Yeah.
And so
it's been
Well, we've talked for we talked
For
for
near just about 2 hours.
yeah. See, at least we had a script this time,
I'm to go off of
sort of. A sort of script to go off
I didn't
of.
stick super closely to mine, but it did help me reference some of my commentary on these games.
Yeah, I have wanted to talk about this series for a long time.
And we finally got around to playing through all of them.
And yeah, I thought what better of a game what better of a series to talk about for Halloween in Castlevania.
Oh, come on, it's perfect.
If you wanna I mean, really, if you want to play these games,
There are plenty of ways to do so.
official or not.
Yep. I suggest picking up
The anniversary and advanced
collections on Switch.
maybe so, I think there's Castlevania Requiem on PS4, or for Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night, or also Dracula X Chronicles. That's also on PSN. And Castlevania Legends was just released, as I said, released for Switch Online today, which is quite ballsy, given the game's reputation. And so figure out the rest. So yeah, happy Halloween, everyone. Next month we still got some content to do.
We got some commentaries.
Yes. And gotta make preparations for our the end of the year.
I think we got something pretty cool planned. So
that being said, I'm Nozrun.
And I'm Amaray.
And
And bonjour, my wonderful viewers. See you in the next video.